Well, Work to Include is a coalition of persons with disabilities, family members, and others working to design a better system of employment supports to ensure that competitive employment is an expectation of Hoosiers with disabilities. The coalition has held a number of town hall meetings around the state, 11 in all, to talk about potential solutions to barriers facing those with disabilities when it comes to entering the workforce. Indiana Disability Rights Staff Attorney Emily Munson is here now to explain the movement and its goals. And Emily, great to have you here on the show.
Thank you.
This is a time of, virtually almost record unemployment overall, very low unemployment in the state of Indiana. But when it comes to persons with disabilities, that number is exponentially higher.
That's right. The number of the unemployment rate for people with disabilities is around 75%. So a lot of people out there are looking for jobs.
Mm-hmm. Talk about the barriers, and there are a number of barriers to entry, barriers to the workforce for people with disabilities. Talk about some of those.
Well, Indiana is quite a rural area, and so transportation is a large barrier. If you're in, say, a wheelchair, or you are blind and you can't drive a vehicle, then in those rural areas, and even to larger areas like Indianapolis to an extent, transportation is a big barrier. Another that we see time and time again is stigma about employees with disabilities, their ability to do good work, but people with disabilities have been shown to be more loyal employees, saving money on turnover and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Work to Include, you have a real focus on changing things. That includes, as I mentioned in the introduction, town hall meetings, 11 around the state of Indiana. So you've gathered a lot of input, a lot of feedback. What are you hearing from people around the state?
We heard a lot about those barriers that we just talked about, but we've also learned that there's some misinformation about there. A lot of people with disabilities don't understand that there are work incentives out there that they can leverage to maintain important things like Medicaid benefits while holding a job.
I know there was some legislation in the 2017 session of the Indiana General Assembly that you think can help your efforts.
We do. That piece of legislation was important in that all state monies must now be put toward the employment first concept, which is that people with disabilities should be in competitive integrated employment as an expectation rather than something that's a goal.
In terms of the goal of your mission and vision with the organization, what's next? 11 town hall meetings, you've got a lot of input, a lot of feedback. What do you hope to do next to on that march to change things?
Well, those 11 different town halls have created 11 different working groups that are working to change local barriers and improve local community barriers. And then we are working together as a group to enforce systemic change. Our hope is to get an executive order or something that will increase the opportunity for people with disabilities to get employed.
It is an important issue of finding work opportunities for persons with disabilities, hundreds of thousands in the state of Indiana. Emily Munson, Work to Include. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your efforts, and we look forward to following progress.
Thank you for having me.
All right.